everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts, and today I don't actually have a card for you. What I have is I want to show you how I store my little goodies that I get with the magazines that I buy. Sometimes you get stamps, sometimes you get dies, you can get all kinds of things. This particular one is Creative Stamping issue 98. And in this one I got some papers, which are beautiful. I'll pop those to one side and put them into my paper stash. But I also got a complete A4 sheet of stamps. Now I got this sometime, probably around about November, either October last year, and as you can see it hasn't even come out of the packet because they're not in my storage bins that I'll link my other one as to how I do my others. They're all dies are like that, and all stamps I do like this. But because they're not in my tubs where I flick through when I'm looking for something, I don't think to use them because I don't go to the magazine. So what I've done is I had a look online quite some time ago, and I saw a tutorial by Sam Calcott from Mixed Up Craft, and I will link that. But she actually showed a way that we can store these in our tubs and reference them back to the magazine. So if I were to see that beautiful cocktail glass just there, on the outside of it, it would have, this one's a different one, this is the issue 100, Enchanted Christmas Creative Stamping issue 100. So I could go back and say, oh, I wonder what they used for that, and go back to the magazine. So let me show you how to do it. As I say, full credit to Sam Calcott for this one, because I was really getting a stack, and I still have got a stack that I haven't done, but I've done some this morning, and I thought it would be worthwhile actually showing you how I do them. So I'll pop the magazine to one side, and what I will do is I'll open this up. They get some beautiful, beautiful stamps in this magazine. It really is great. And you can see that we have let me see if I can get some paper so you can see it better. Okay, so you can see that there are an A4 sheet which doesn't fit into my A5 tub, obviously. So what I am going to do is I am going to show you now. What I use is I use photo paper. Okay, so the gloss photo paper in the A5. If you want to buy it A4 and cut it down, that's fine, but I find it just as easy to use the A5. So I use the A5, and then on top of that, I use just the A5 protector sheets for them to go into. So with this, what I tend to do is I take the stamps off. So you've got two lots of acetate. So you've got one at the back, okay, and one with your stamps on it. The one with your stamps on it, I tend to cut them. Now, you can probably see that one there, I could probably do as one big one. I don't need to cut them up separately because they actually work better if they're not separate, I've found. So I'm going to cut that down there to there, making sure obviously that you don't cut into any of the stamps themselves. And you can see that's already sticking. So let's go to our first one. What I will do for this one is I will pop that down on there. Now you'll see that the photographic paper is just like the acetate, and they don't come off. Now what I need to do is I need to work out how to fit the rest of this on. So I'm going to cut out the glass, or the cocktail. Don't cut too close to your stamps, but obviously you don't want to waste space either. So it's a bit of a it can be a bit tricky. So that one I've cut out individually, and I'm going to pop that one there. Now I'm going to go ahead and completely cut all these up. I'll speed up while I'm doing it so it doesn't take forever. And then you'll see exactly what I'm trying to achieve here. Okay, so now you can see some of them, like this one is all in one section. This is all in one section. Some of these are, oh, that one needs just to come down a little bit to allow for that. So you just need to basically make sure they all fit on your sheet and are not overlapping. So that one is slightly overlapping, but if I trim this just a little bit at the top here and take away some of that acetate, pop that down right at the bottom, that should then fit just there. Okay, so we've got all of our stamps on from the magazine. Now what we need to do is we now need to put tape over the top of them. Now remember I said to you that this is the base that it came from. What we now need to do is we now need to cut this in half. Okay, because this is going to actually stick on the top. So I'll just open this up for a sec. So this needs to be cut at 5 7/8. Okay, and we're going to use that on the top. So how are we going to do this? What we now need to do is to get our tape. Now we need to put tape on the top of each of these pieces that we have stuck down. So if you've got a big one, you can just go straight across. Make sure you've got plenty of tape on them, because when you're pulling your stamps off, excuse me, pulling your stamps off, they sometimes take a little bit of effort to get off. So you don't want to be ripping the card at the back or damaging them. So I put this on quite strongly so that it doesn't tear off. And so everywhere that you've got one of your stamps, you need to put some tape over the top. So I'll go ahead and complete that for you. Okay, so there we have it. We have all of our pieces that are covered. So this is one big piece, so it's got 3 lots on it. That's a single piece, they're single, that's single, that's single, so is that. This is another big piece, they're big pieces with a couple of them on there as well. So you get the idea. What you now need to do is you now need to take the topping off. Right, now comes the piece of acetate that we cut in half that was on the back of these originally. So what we now need to do is we now need to lay this piece of acetate. Goodness me, that's not going to fit. Anyway, that'll do. We need to lay this piece of acetate over there, okay? And this one, I cut it in the wrong spot. I'm going to have to replace the other one. So I'll do this one first. So this one didn't actually cut straight, so I'm just going to take the edge of this off. Being careful not to cut your stamps, obviously, but I'm just cutting down the acetate because I didn't cut it right on my cutter, which is why this one is not working. Okay, so take that off. And I'll do that one later because that one could create a bit of a problem because I've made a mistake. But this one's fine. As you can see, you have got all of your stamps on there. You can peel them back from that card. Okay, so you peel it back. You can still take off your stamps. But you can see exactly, because you've got the double-sided tape on the top that stays there, you know where to put them back. Then what I do is I just pop them into here and slide them in. These only just fit into these. So once again, a bit of trimming might be needed, so I'm going to trim this one all the way down just there, just so that it gets You're not going to touch any of your stamps. You're just going to make it easier to get in and out. Okay. And then you pop that into your protective sleeve. Really doesn't want to go in. There we go. And then I always label mine. Now the reason I always label them is so that if I'm looking at this particular one and I think, oh, I really like that, I can go back and see what was used in it. So I always use put the name of them on there. Now that's that. Where are we? Fruity Fun it's called. So I put Fruity Fun at the top because that gives an indication of what is going to be on my sheet. So Fruity Fun. It is creative stamping. So it's the magazine, and I know that's the magazine. So magazine is creative stamping. If I want to go back and find anything to do with these stamps, it's in issue 98. And this is only one sheet of 2. So if I know that I'm looking for something like fruity, and I find this one, I will immediately know that somewhere there is another one. So just there. And I always put Aussie Cards and Crafts down the bottom because it's just basically my name. Doesn't mean I've got anything to do with it. It just means that it belongs to me. So that is how I store them. This one I will need to just fix up a little bit because I cut my acetate too small. So I'll probably just cut another thin slither of acetate there, and that's all I'll do. And then we'll label it up like that. So I hope you found it. Well, I hope you can use some of the tips on there, because I know that I looked through my magazines today because I'm doing a bit of a cleanup in the craft room, and I thought, oh, I could have used that stamp on such and such a project. But because it wasn't in my site, I didn't use it. And I find that happens quite a lot. So what I'm going to endeavour to do over the next few weeks is get all of my magazines and all of my things on there. Some of the magazines you'll find have got stamps in them. Some have got stamps and dies. If it's one with stamp and die, I will also put stamp and die, or stamp and die down here. And I will put the dies on the back, and I'll attach them with... and if you go back to my other, how I store my stamps and dies, you know that I use this magnetic tape, and I just put it there, and I drop the dies on there. So it works for me. That way I know that I'm not going to miss those. When I'm looking for something that, you know, I've had instances where I'm looking for trees or outside things, and I can't find anything, and then 2 weeks later when I go through my magazines, the perfect one is there. So it's a little bit frustrating, but hey, that's how it is. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful, and I will be back very soon with another card. Thank you very much, and happy crafting.